Hey everyone, welcome to the round 21 player ratings video, proudly sponsored by Doing a Bit. Doing a Bit. I tell you who was not doing a bit, and that's the Carlton Football Club. I am about to give you, I think it's 4 or 5 players that received a pass mark or more. I think this is one of the more disappointing ones of the season and ones that we've ever done. No need to talk too much about why it was disappointing. We've been through that. But for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, basically these player ratings serve as the votes for the end of the year. I like to start the conversation in this video and I like you to finish the conversation in the comments. And basically I'll give players a score out of 10, 5 being a pass mark and above. And then there's a tally that'll go up at the end of the year when we do our awards show and we'll crown the Blue or Broad Player of the Year. So let's see how we go. Like I said, I'll start the conversation. You let me know in the comments if any of these should be higher, lower, and why. And that'll be how it works. But starting as a team was named Wiedering, Young, and Marchbank. Wieders, when I was first giving the score, I was going to give him a 4. Then I had a look, added a little bit more. He did mark Joe Danaher for the majority of the game, and Joe Danaher was a complete non-factor. And from that standpoint, I think Wiedering absolutely did his job. So I did give him a 5 in the end. However, I do want to put some blame on all of them who just looked off when the pressure was on. I don't think Wiedering was as bad as some of the other leaders, but I still, think it was disappointing to see just a lack of composure. And he just seems to just be a fraction off with timing. And there's just something about him. He did play well in the sense that did his job and his opponent. He really, really dominated his opponent. But there's something with ball in hand. I can't put my finger on it. Just doesn't look the same to me. So anyway, I gave him a 5 for his game, gave him a pass mark. Lewis Young, I gave him a 4. Something with him as well over the last few weeks just doesn't seem as assured. I was really excited to have Wiedering, Young, Marchbank, who I'll touch on in a moment, and Mcgovern in the same backline. I thought it would only allow them to be a little bit more synergetic, if that's a word, but it wasn't to be. So I gave Youngie a 4. I gave Marchie a 4 as well. It's a bit tough. He's missed so much footy. I do take that into account, but the lot of them I don't think deserved to have too much praise after yesterday. I think the midfield definitely let our defenders down in the sense that we weren't able to put a stranglehold on the Lions midfield, and it put a lot of pressure on our defenders. So yeah, I felt that a 4 was reasonable for Marchbank. You could argue a 5, but whatever, it's semantics. Mcgovern, Doherty, Sard. Mcgovern, I thought he was probably the best of the lot in defence, and it's his 3rd game back, and he has gotten better with every game that he's played. He looks really assured in the air, kicks the ball well. He actually was one of the few players that I noticed, even in the first half, who was looking to switch the ball. So I gave him just a pass mark. Doc, I gave him a 4. Looked a little bit fumbly and slippery and unassured early in the first quarter, and it seemed to just follow suit with the rest of the group. And he's probably one of the leaders that I was talking about who, they need to be better. They need to be better under pressure because we need to find a way to get better when we play against these top 4 sides and these, genuine contenders. And it has to start with Doherty and Cripps and, Wiedering and Harry and Charlie and the like. So I thought, Doc still won plenty of the ball. A lot of his ball, was going sideways and whatnot. But yeah, I just think he's a lot better than what he was yesterday. So I gave him a 4. Sard, I gave him a 5. Bare pass mark. He was good. He was solid, and he always is solid. And he definitely is someone that can hold his head high for his ability to, play in pressure. But yeah, just a bare pass mark for me. O'Brien, Cripps, and Setterfield. I gave O'Brien, I actually gave it a 5 originally and then put it down to a 4 just because, yeah, we're not handing out participation awards anymore. There was a moment which probably summed up Lockie's day where he had a shot on goal and he passed it, he kicked it to Jack Silvani, and it was so strange. I almost looked away because I didn't think he was going to pass it. I thought he was going to go back and have a set shot, but yeah, just low on confidence. Not able to take the moment and seize the moment. That was his moment to kick a goal, and I thought that he passed it off when he shouldn't have, and it probably was just a a symbolic theme of his day and our day. Just nobody, well, very few willing to embrace the heat of the battle that was that game. So I gave him a 4 for his game. Cripps might be a little stiff, but I also gave him a 4 as well. Again, I put yesterday down to the leaders. I thought we failed across the board. He always fights well, and he always gives a shit, and he always plays hard. And, I know that we're disappointed with the result. But yeah, I think he let us down a little bit. That hit on Calamachi at the time of filming, we don't know the verdict of the hit and if he's going to be suspended or not. But, if he is, it's a really disappointing way to end a season if that's what's going to happen. I think he needs to be better than that. I think where he can step up and lead, and I do appreciate the physicality of it. I really do. I guess it's just one of those things. You make a decision in a split second. It's so hard. It's very easy for us on this side to critique moments like that when, we've never stepped foot on the field in the AFL. So I am mindful of that. But, some of the errant handballs, I remember there was one in the third quarter. I think it might have been to Jack Nunes or Sam Walsh, and it was just behind him. Like, we need Cripps and Doherty. We need them to be better under pressure. We need them to use the ball better. We need them to seize the moments better. They're just going through it. They're working through it. Is it a patience game? He's played 150 plus games and he's had to play a final cripper. We need more. Need more from the skip. Setterfield, I gave him a 4. I thought he started really strongly, to be honest. I thought his first quarter was really good. He spread really well, provided an option around the ground, worked hard. I really did enjoy his first half. Then seemed to dwindle down a bit. Heat went up, and he was one of many who just seemed to not be able to withstand the pressure of the battle. So I gave him a 4. That might be a little stiff. Maybe he deserves a 5 because he did. I thought he did start pretty strongly. He looked good. So let me know what you think about that. Then we've got Jack Martin, Fisher, and Silvani. Jack Martin, gave him a 4. I actually gave all 3 of these guys a 4. Jack Martin looked lively early, faded out, got injured. It's the same old story. It's the rinse and repeat story of Jack Martin, and we are just unable to get him going consistently, it seems. I don't know. Is it just terrible luck? Is that just what it is? Is his body just one of those bodies that can't do anything about it? I refuse to believe that we can't do anything about it. I refuse to believe that a professional athlete can't have some sort of consistency with their body. This is like, it just constantly happens. And maybe that's harsh. Maybe it is just unfair. Maybe it is just one of those miraculous situations where, he just can't get his body right. But I do question the preparation in the off season, year after year. I do question it. It's a brutal sport to play. It's a tough sport to play. And Jack Martin just seems to be one of those guys that we just can't, or I can't seem to have faith that he's going to be able to put together, 6 weeks, let alone 3. So, hopefully the injury isn't bad. Hopefully it is precautionary and he can play next week. But we really needed him, and we really do need him if we're going to do anything this year. So, yeah, gave him a 4. Not enough. Zach Fisher, I thought he started really slowly. Got himself into the game. I think it was the 3rd or the 4th. He kicked 2 goals in the quarter. I think it might have been the 4th. Looked lively around the contest, but ultimately it just wasn't enough. So a 4. Jack Silvani, very much the same. Fought hard, fought well, just wasn't enough. I just don't think it was enough what we need from Jack. Harry, Matt Owies, and Charlie. Harry, I gave him a 3. I'm now worried about what's going on with Harry. There's no force. There's not as much force to the way he plays. I think he was getting better at that last year and at stages this year, but the force in which he propels himself in a contest has changed, especially when he's marking the ball up forward. I understand he's got defenders and fists coming at his face and all of that, but the delivery inside 50 doesn't help him. Doesn't help Charlie as well. But yeah, there's just something about Harry that I'm just mindful and worried about. Just not playing with the same spark and zip. Is it the role? Is it maybe because he's not on the score sheet like he used to be? Maybe I'm getting sucked into the numbers, but I just don't see a really lively Harry Mackay The press conference at the start of the week as well was it just looks worse. Like, don't say those things if you're going to dish up that performance. It was just really strange from him. And I guess it's part of his learning curve as well, like how to talk, what to say, how to perform. You got to be able to marry the two. If you're going to talk the talk, you have to be able to walk the walk. And I don't think he was able to do that. I gave him a 3 for his game. Owies, I just gave him a pass mark. Had the 8 touches, had the 4 tackles, kicked a goal. I just gave him a pass mark. Charlie, I gave him a 4. Had a moment of brilliance, probably 5 minutes. Maybe a 4 is even... Actually, a 4 might be pretty generous. Yeah, I don't think we got anywhere near enough from Charlie as what we need. Did kick the 2 goals, and that was in his little patch, which was good. But we're not here to talk about anything other than wins and losses. So I gave him a 4. Then we've got De Koning, Chera, and Walsh. De Koning, that was a tough one for him, for sure. I thought he was soundly beaten. It was a shame that Pitternet was sick, as Vossi said in his presser. But yeah, De Koning just struggled. I gave him a 2 for his game. Just could not. I felt like we just couldn't get anything going from the ruck. Maybe but for 10 or 15 minutes. But yeah, he'll be better for it, Tom. No doubt about that. Ches, I gave him a 3. Not good enough. Need more from him. Maybe it's harsh, but especially in a game where you've got Kennedy out, you've got Hewitt out, you need him to step up. And I just thought it wasn't anywhere near what he's capable of doing. So gave him a 3. Walshy, I gave him a pass mark. He had 2 touches in the first quarter and managed to turn it around and just kept going. And he always does. He got hit really badly, but just got up, just got on with it. And, he's one of few that I think can hold their head up high after yesterday's performance. Then we go to the bench. Dow, Motlop, Nunes, and Cottrell. Paddy Dow, I gave him a 2. I'm really surprised that he's unable to come into the AFL and still, at this point in his career, just unable to handle the pressure of the battle, the heat of the battle. Maybe it's because he's missed so much. I don't know, but just inability to think his way through. I'm saying the same thing about him over and over again. Inability to think his way through traffic, inability to compose himself under pressure, looks panicked, looks rushed, looks like a guy just hasn't had the penny drop moment. Is it coming? I don't know. He's an inside midfielder and he's been playing as an inside midfielder, but his body does not look like an inside midfielder to me. I actually couldn't believe the rhetoric around. I've read commentary around how he's put on size. I'm just not seeing it. I just think he needs to be a lot stronger than what he is. I think there was a moment where Jared Lyons literally just pushed him to the ground, or maybe it was Zorko. And that's where Paddy's got to get to. He's got to be thicker and stronger and more ferocious. And I'm just not seeing it from him at the moment. Hopefully it just comes one day out of nowhere, but I'm a little bit at a loss as to what it is for Paddy and what's going to happen, because this is year 5. Like, we've got to see something. Really got to see something. The opportunity is right there. He's literally in the middle of his opportunity that's come a little late this year, but nonetheless it's come. So I hope that it's just maybe his first game back in and he's just got to get some continuity. The reality is we need more from him, and we need more from a lot of them. Jesse Motlop, gave him a 6. He's the only one that I looked at and I was like, oh, okay, great. Something to be positive about. I thought he was really just good under the heat of it. And, he's in that phase of his career where the expectation's pretty low, given how young he is. But, yeah, he looks to be just getting better. And these are really valuable games for him. He's just played his 10th game. Now, I did not have him in my predictions playing 10 games. So he's surpassed all of my expectations. And I think he's just set up so well for a really good 2023 and obviously a great career thereafter. So I gave him a 6 for his game. Jack Nunes, I gave him a 4 for his game. Just not enough. Cottrell, I actually gave him a 5. I gave him a pass mark as well. I thought he ran the game out pretty well. And when the whips were cracking, he looked like someone who was at least willing to take it on and at least willing to get amongst it. In my opinion. Durden was the sub. Durden came on in the 4th quarter when Jack Martin was subbed out. Kicked a goal, looked lively, gave us a bit of a spark, and was solid enough. I didn't give him a rating because I don't think it was enough of a sample size, but Yeah, I would suggest maybe, does he come back in next week? I don't know what they do, but looked okay. And there's the player ratings. Let's get out of here, mate. I'm done. Put this game behind us and move on. We've got to figure it out. Got to work through it. This is great. This is all great experience for the group. When it's not going your way, how are you going to be able to figure out what to do to get the next breakthrough? And we've got to figure it out, and we've got to figure it out quickly, because there are 2 games left and then the final starts, and we want to be a part of it. I can understand week by week and all of that, but like, this is it. This is why you play football. You've got to be in the 8 at the end of the season. So a little bit more desperation would be nice from the first bounce. Let's see if we get that. Let me know what you think about the play ratings, if any of them should change, higher, lower. Talk about why, and I can make those arrangements. Have a good one, and go the Mighty Blues.